I'm Mark Robertson. We're in Little Rock, Arkansas, and this is February the 26th. We're involved in a lot of different organizations. Most of them all have a conservation, education, or social equity component to them. As a landscape architect and sustainability consultant, I've been involved in conservation issues for my entire career, going on probably 30 years or so. And it's something that started at a very young age, and I just have carried it through my life, basically. And I went back to school at 30. So I dropped out of college a couple of times between 18 and 30. I drove a truck cross country. I worked on the river boats on the Intercoastal Canal. Worked as a surveyor for a couple of years with the Forest Service. I did construction work, which was the bulk of what I did in that 12-year period. I'm a founding member of the Arkansas chapter, U.S. Green Building Council. We formed the chapter back in 2001, 2002. I'm past chair of it. I sit on the advisory board. I was on the board of directors for 5 years. I now serve on the Southeast Regional Council for the national organization. I'm a lot more vocal. I've been engaged the last 6 years in advocacy at the legislature. I've written bills. I helped create and get seated the first Sustainability Commission for the City of Little Rock. You know, I'm about to wrap up 10 years on the advisory board, professional advisory board for the School of Architecture in Fayetteville. I've been chair for the last 2 years and have led a strategic planning initiative to redefine the School of Architecture over the next 20 to 30 years. As we begin to think about design education, what should it mean? How do we grow and develop at the university level? What should our curriculum look like? What should we be addressing? Sustainability, I think I've had a strong voice in bringing sustainability to the forefront at the U of A. Just recently worked on a symposium, did a 3-day event focusing on social equity, green-collar jobs, trying to empower our low-income neighborhoods, neighborhoods of the greatest need, on new jobs, on what the new green economy is going to mean for them or could mean for them. We met with everybody from the governor to the legislators. We did 3 public events. We touched over 800 people in just a little over 48 hours. If we're going to be successful in this sustainability movement, we have got to reach out to all of our neighbors, to all of our members of our community. It's difficult for those folks that are living in poverty, living on minimum wage, that are trying to make choices on whether they eat or buy that compact fluorescent. They don't necessarily understand the significance of what that investment means and how it might improve their lives. And so the challenge we have is, how do we bring that message to those neighborhoods, to those portions of our community that aren't being served, and make this movement for all Americans. It's not for middle income and wealthy white America. It's got to be for everybody. There's got to be room for everybody at the table. How can we bring affordable housing, green affordable housing, environmentally responsible housing, and weatherization, both remodels and new, into neighborhoods that need it? Folks that are paying, 40, 50, 60% of their income is going to utility bills. And here, we've got nearly 400,000 homes in Arkansas that qualify for weatherization assistance. And we're no different than any other state. I mean, so the things that we're trying to work on and address are things that we can replicate and scale up. That is probably our biggest challenge, is how do we bring sustainability to the masses, into the impoverished. And until we can do that, we won't be successful. We're not a well-educated state, I'm ashamed to say. I don't know where we are currently, but a few years ago we were 48th or 49th in the country in average education level on a per capita basis. And we're struggling with economic development, we're struggling with health care, we're struggling with environmental concerns. All of those, every one of them, could be overcome and improved upon with a better educated population of residents in Arkansas. Until we as a state embrace and adopt the notion that education is important, we will continue, I think, to struggle in those areas that I talked about earlier. Part of my practice is probably 50% of what I do as a landscape architect is zoological exhibit design and master planning. But the reason I do zoological work is for the conservation and the education message. It's not because I'm in favor of captive animals by any means. My big reason for that area of practice is on the global conservation, on habitat preservation, and working on introducing folks that visit those facilities. They get a better understanding of what other cultures are like, possibly what other parts of the world are like, and how we interpret those, how we can bring messages of why habitat preservation is important, why water conservation is important. I mean, we hear a lot about energy, but I think probably the more pressing topic for us is water. On a national level, water is certainly something that I address in all of my projects, of how do we conserve it, how do we bring that importance about. I mean, it's a resource that's very limited. Less than 1% of the total water available in the world is available to us. That's fresh water and could be used for potable water. 97% of it's salt water. The remaining 3%, 2/3 of it's frozen. And so, I mean, it's a very limited resource that we're not doing a good job of caring for. My challenge is how do I make a living, and how do I make a living and become engaged in those things that are so important to me. I've done a lot of work in Bolivia, trying to work on global issues there. I've worked with some conservation NGOs on how they might develop, how they can talk about poor. I mean, that's probably the poorest country in this hemisphere, and the challenges are huge there. But I'm working with some very dedicated folks there, and we're hopeful. What I'm hoping to do is take, the experiences that we've gained here and be able to apply them in that area and build upon that in other parts of the globe, actually. So. But, as far as my family, what I hope is that, at least with my daughter, is that hopefully, she'll, when she gets old enough to think about it and reflect upon it, that it will encourage her to become engaged and stay active and to make the difference. And I guess that's why I do it. So I feel humbled. I mean, I've been given a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of need, and I feel like, we need to give back. I think, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on around the country that we can learn from and take advantage of that knowledge base. It's just finding out about it and how do you apply it to your own particular circumstance. So, well, I think the reason you work for your community is because you're part of it. I mean, the community is you. It's not them. Whatever you're involved in to help improve the community is improving your life as well. So